I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, we're saving jobs, we're saving our community. Now, if I save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We just call that icing on the cake, because the mission is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. If you ever find yourself at a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit TV show, because we are on a mission. Good morning, and welcome to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I am Robert Gatewood, your host, and I am here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Got a great show lined up today, as always. I am broadcasting outside the Washington, D.C. area, as we do every Friday, and I have a great show lined up. We have people tuning in from all over the world. I want to thank the people for tuning in from LinkedIn for the first time. Glad to have you joining us on this magnificent broadcast. We're also broadcasting live on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. And of course, you can go to marketingpulpit.com on the homepage at any time to find out what we're about and what we're doing. Just got a great show lined up today. We're on a mission here. This mission is to build strong businesses in our community so we can put people to work. People need to work. And to do that, you need a vibrant foundation of economics in the community. And the best way to do that is build viable businesses. And that's the mission I've been on since I was a baby. My dad had a grocery store when I worked in a grocery store when I was about 8 years old. So I was introduced to the world of business at a very early age. And that bug bit me. It goes back to that purpose, that raison d'etre, the reason for being. And I must admit, mine has been for the last 20, 25 years of helping business owners build their brand, build their business, and get out here and put people to work. Now, I spent several years in corporate America. I've been vice presidents, COO, CFO, CEOs, all kind of those. But I'm glad that I was able to, at some point, realize that there was an uneven playing field between the small businesses of the world and the competitors in the corporate behemoths that they're competing against. So I took that skill from corporate America and started my company, Gatewood Marketing and Web. And I've been helping small businesses ever since. And this platform is an extension of my purpose to build strong businesses and put people to work. Thank you for joining me again. I want to thank our sponsors, BLE Executive Suites, and other companies that have helped us bring this message to you. And once again, thank you from all over the world. People are tuning in. I mean, when I say all over the world, we are Marketing Pulpit International. Last week, we had a company from Dib Afrique that they had representatives from Africa, from France, from Italy, from Kenya, from all over the world. And that's because this mission of ours, even though it's local, it has international ramifications. And once again, thank you. Last week I was on the show and I was saying to myself, I was asking this question: have people gotten a little stranger since this pandemic took hold? Well, I'm going to put the question out there again today, because every time I look at the news, I see a little more strangeness. I don't want to say people have lost their minds, but I'm close to saying that. But you know what? I also noticed that it's not always just the strangeness about this pandemic, but people are being affected in other ways. When you think about it, people are going to come out of this pandemic unlike the way they went in. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. The people who are exiting this pandemic or this lockdown are not going to be the same people that went in it. And you, as a business owner, had better recognize that and adjust your strategies accordingly. For instance, people are going to be heavier. I know it's people are going to be heavier. I mean, people have been eating like crazy since this pandemic started. So some people are going to come out of it a little heavier. So if you're in the weight loss, if you're in the health, if you're in the fitness business, you may need to make an adjustment. People are going to have a little more cash because they've been pent up with all this. They didn't have anything to spend their money on. I mean, they've been hoarding cash, basically. Some have these PPP loans. Some have this EIDL money. They got stimulus checks. So when they come out of this pandemic, they're going to be ready to spend. Also, people are going to be edgier. And that just goes back to my earlier statement. People are kind of stressed out. You're seeing some things that you just didn't see in the past. I mean, people going through driving their cars through drive-through windows, shooting at folks, and got all these police shootings. And so people are on edge. So we have to be aware of that too. So all you psychologists out there and psychoanalysts, get ready. There's about to be a dam burst. People are also more enlightened. During this pandemic, we've seen the killing of George Floyd, the verdict, and people have been a little more enlightening about social issues. So they're going to come out of that, out of this pandemic and lockdown. Some are going to be more enlightened, but on the flip side of that, some people are going to be more politically charged, a little more polarized, which is not a good thing. Just letting you know, these are some of the things that we're going to see when this pandemic ends. People are going to be more distant, not only physically, but emotionally. When you've been locked down for a year, 18 months, you don't come out of it the same. You're not coming out here chummy and hugging and slapping people on the back. You may be more distant in more ways, physically and psychologically. And the last thing I want to say about that, people are going to come out of this pandemic. They're going to be independent. They're going to be ready to start over. Think about that. Some people are going to make some dynamic changes that they have been putting off for years. This pandemic gives them that opportunity to come out, start that business that they have been dreaming about. Some are going to leave their mates. Sorry, folks. Some are going to get out of leases, move into new places, move to different parts of the country. I'm saying this to say that as we start to see signs of emergence from this pandemic, as a business owner, as an employer, as a job seeker, just know that the people you're going to be dealing with are not going to be the same people you were dealing with before this lockdown started. And you need to make the necessary adjustments, because it's a new day. It's a new day. Now I'm going to bring on in a few minutes my co-host today, Miss Candice Camille. Now she probably can tell us more about this than anybody, because she's dealing with she talks about the business of your body. Yeah, that's right. Your body is like a business, man. You got to run it like a business. If you want that business to succeed, like you want that body to succeed, then you need to listen to wise people like our co-host, Miss Candice Camille. We're also going to talk about some of the items in the news. And later in the show, you better grab yourself a pad, a pencil, and get ready for this, because I'm going to talk about referrals. Now, I spent many years as a serial networker, and I still do it to some degree, but I also teach a course at Prince George's College called Networking Works. And for many years, I was the president of the Largo chapter of BNI International, which is a networking organization. And one thing we have learned, whether you're in an organization or just a business owner in general, that you have to get those referrals. Now, some people get a little lazy on the referral end. I want you to know that I'm going to give you at least 5 different ways, what I call like the referral food chain. All referrals are not created equal. So you want to grab, this could affect not only the referrals that you receive, but in the spirit of reciprocity. When you're referring somebody, I'm going to show you that there's more to it, or it can be more to it than just sending out an email saying, hey, Joe, here's Sue, you all go for it. I mean, that's nice, but that's like the low end of the totem pole. We're going to talk about how you can take this from one stage all the way up to the extreme. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to bring in my co-host. We're going to talk about a few news items and get this show moving. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. You can find out more about me by going to gatewoodmarketing.com, and you'll see my bio on there. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm all over the place. You can just Google me, daggone it, and just find out more about Robert Gatewood. You say, who in the heck is this guy who made him king? But I'm not king, but I do know marketing. I know marketing, man. I'm telling you, like the back of my hand. Hey, I didn't notice that before. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm going to bring up my co-host, Miss Candice Camille. Good morning, Candice.
Good morning, Robert. How are you today?
Hey, I'm over here talking up a storm. Hold on a second. Let me get my audio is little low here. I'm not picking you up. Okay, I hear you. Go ahead and talk. Just the volume a little later. Right now, for some reason, you're coming in very low, but I think it's on my end. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
All right. Why don't you do this, Candice? Introduce yourself to my audience. Let them know who you are, and because you have been such a dynamic force over the years. I've had you on the show as a co-host for many years. People look forward to when you come onto the show. So introduce yourself to the one or two people in the world who may not have heard of Candice and Camille.
Grand rising to you, Robin. Thank you so much. I'm always excited when I'm here. But my name is Candice Camille. For those of you that don't know me, I'm known as the Wellologist. I'm an entrepreneur, 15 years, been in the business for a long time. I'm founder of Plank Talk Nation, the Sexy Fit and Well movement, where I teach women to be sexy, fit, and well through meals, mindset, and movement, with results they achieve in their body, see it in their body, and feel in their soul. So my whole platform is about just getting women well of the world. Couple men jump in on here too. But my main focus is to get women well, because we are the ones that really drive the household, especially when you're talking about our meals, because being well is pretty much 80% of your meals. So once you get that right, depending on what it is that you're seeking and what it is that you want, I'm here to help you get there.
Candice, I'm telling you, you are amazing. That's why I am so happy to have you on the show every fourth Friday of the month. You look great. When I've told you many times I need to find that fountain of youth that you've discovered. I mean, really, you are the epitome, the embodiment of health, wellness, and how to make yourself look great. So thank you again for joining me this morning. I want to welcome everybody tuning in on social media. Miss Janice Smith, good morning down in North Carolina. Good morning, Linda. Got my old classmate on the call this morning. See Brother Gerald Brown, the greatest plumber in town. That's in Attorney Bradley Thomas. Thank you again for joining us this morning. Mr. Murray of the Millionaire Mastermind Institute, thank you again for joining us this morning. We have people tuning in from all over the place. And like I said earlier, we're tuning in now. We're broadcasting on LinkedIn. We're broadcasting on YouTube. We're broadcasting on Twitter. We're broadcasting on Facebook. And probably a few other places I don't even realize, because we're being shared by so many people. So we're glad that this information is getting out there, because it's so pivotal. I'm going to talk about a couple of items in the news quickly, and then we're going to take a quick break. I'm still trying to get this navigate this audio because Candice, you are very light. So if I'm talking over you, it's not because I'm being rude, but I'm pretty sure it's on my end, because before I started the show this morning, I had to switch my microphone, and it may have affected my speaker. So bear with me this morning. As a matter of fact, let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the news. Marketing Pulpit, folks, this is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I have with me this morning my co-host, the Wellologist, Candice Camille, wonderful young lady. And so don't go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit. We'll be right back in a moment. All right, welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I am Robert Gatewood, your host. I have with me this morning my phenomenal co-host, is Candice Camille. Candice, how you doing over there?
I'm good. I'm good, Robert. How are you?
I hear you loud and clear now, man. I tell you
You
what,
can
thank
hear me now. I can't be silent, Robert. I can't. They've been trying to shut me down for years, right? I can't be silent.
impossible, impossible. And nor do we want to. We do not want you to be silent because you have a lot of good things to share with the audience. And thank you again for joining us this morning, Candice. I also like to bring the news to my audience because we have to acknowledge that we don't live in a vacuum, and that things that are in the news are we're really writing history. The news is the precursor to history, and it impacts us. Just because you are a business owner does not mean that these items do not affect you. I'm looking at, for instance, how Tesla is in the news again. I really hate when Tesla gets in the news in a bad way, and probably I'm a little selfish because I bought all these darn Tesla stocks.
I was gonna say you got a little stock in Tesla.
Every time Tesla comes in the news on a bad story, I'm like, oh my God, please. Now you got, this car catches on fire. I mean, it has two people in it. The car goes off a cliff and two people die. I mean, I really feel sorry for the people that passed away. But man, I'm telling you, are we ready for these driverless cars, Candice? I don't know.
You know, for me, I'm not for it because you lose control. It's like the control is no longer in your hands, and with the way this thing is going now, I'm for technology and everything, but as we're spinning in this world right now, Robert, the control of us is you're losing control of your life. It's all by these smart adaptations. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm saddened that somebody is losing their life. I absolutely love the technology that's going on, but I think when you're no longer in control of where you're driving to, I have a little problem with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm all tech. I mean, that's part of our business
I
model.
know.
We are
I
tech
know.
all the way. But we do, like you said, Candice, at some point we have to acknowledge that there must be some guardrails on some
There you go.
technology. And I'm one of these people who believe that some of these technology organizations should be utility companies because
Mm,
internet access should not be something that's made available only to those who can afford it. Like utilities, like water and heat and electricity. Those things have to be made of, the government occasionally have to step in to make sure that nobody's left out. And so that's kind of like one of my own little personal beliefs that yes, technology is great, but it has to be regulated and guarded, not necessarily for regulation's sake, because I'm sure the folks who are anti-government are going to jump all over this. But some people do tend to fall between the cracks because some of these, we seeing that this was exacerbated during the pandemic. We saw that education, which was already somewhat not equal, the gap widened during technology because people that had some people could put their kid in their own little office with their own internet connection and their ring lights and the microphones and the Yetis and so forth, while others were sharing those same resources with mom who was working from home, from dad who was working from home, their kid brother or sister who was also in school. So we saw a disparity that was highlighted during this pandemic. And so once again, technology is great, but it's not equally accessible to all.
Now, Robbie, let me just jump in because I'm in agreement with you when you're talking about these different economic statuses as we go through and what we have prepared. But nobody was prepared for what happened to us in the last 13, 14 months of this pandemic to get ready for our children's school, computers, and all of that. Who knew? Even for some of us that tried to steer our kids away from so many electronics. And now we're living in a time that if you don't have an electronic, you will be left behind. So that's one of the things that we're dealing with, that a lot of these kids, me as a parent, now I'm glad I'm not a parent of little children, because me and this technology with them, I think it takes away some of their brain power. But at the end of the day, right now, it is something that's needed. And some of us are in positions where we couldn't afford it, and we relied on the government to simply say we should have had these protocols in place. So when you talk about whose responsibility is it, so now that we're in this pandemic, so even for some of the disparities that's going on, whose responsibility, even for the school sakes, and no matter what county that you lived in, were they prepared for that? Because like you said, don't want the government in our business, but at this point, the school shuts down. Was
Yeah.
the school systems prepared to give their kids the education at home as well as in school? So it's just not on the parent and economic reasons, because at the end of the day, school system, whatever county we lived in, we paying taxes over here. Why weren't they prepared?
Amen. Amen. You're right. You're right. Well, like you say, it's hard to predict the pandemic, but now we are what, a year and some change into it. Are we better prepared now? Are we navigating? Because I know a lot of school teachers that I know right now, they have this hybrid system where some kids are in school, some are at home. The teacher has to teach to a class that's in front of her
And one
and this
online.
class that's at home.
Yeah.
Man, that's asking a lot. Some of these
It
folks,
is
they weren't
asking a lot. It
they,
is, but one of the things we always say about failure, one of the things about the pandemic, I don't look in terms of failure, even though they say you fail forward or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, for all of us, all of this that has happened in this last, almost year and a half now, probably 2 years before we get out of it, is just lessons learned on what the hell not to do again. So when you're talking about when things come up like now in this, because like you said, who knew that we would be here? So there was no strategies or anything in place because we have never gone through it. It's the same thing like a habit. If you have never created a habit, if you have never done this and been through it, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do until you start working inside of it. So hopefully our school systems, our governments are learning from this, but just, like to say, hell, we don't want this to happen to us again. But
yeah.
in case if it does, will we be better off than we've been in this last year and a half?
Amen. Well, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And like I said, this thing called life is a process. It's a learning experience. And regardless whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a snowstorm, whether it's a war, whether it's a protest, whether it's a whatever, we have to learn from the experience
There
and
you
move
go.
forward stronger as a country, as people, as a school system, as a community. I want to say good morning to Mr. Barlow of the Warriors out of Atlanta. Good morning, Michelle from the DC area, and to everybody tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. We also have a footprint over at Radio One. You can catch some of the past shows over there. We will make a reemergence over there once they give us the green light to come back into the studio. So we are Marketing Pulpit International. I am Robert Gatewood. For everybody who's just tuning in, and I have my co-host, Ms. Candice Camille. Now, Candice, last show I made an announcement, and I tend to be corrected, but I think people have gotten a little weirder during this pandemic.
That's an understatement. I've gotten a little weirder. Robert, I know you've gotten a little weirder. That's just an understatement. This thing
But
weird.
but the one that make the news though, man. I'm reading this stuff. It is not laughable, but this woman in Alabama, the police responded to a case where a woman ran over her mate and then backed up and ran over him again. And I'm thinking to myself, would she have done this had it been not a pandemic? But I'm just seeing more of these stories.
No, that's not a good example because I ran my too. It ain't had nothing to do with no pandemic. He probably was doing something he had no business doing. Did she have the right to run him over? No, sir. But at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with the pandemic. But what the pandemic has done, unfortunately, it has raised the instances of domestic violence.
Yes.
Because we are home. When you look at it, nobody should have to do with that. So for those of you wondered, oh my God, she ran her boyfriend over. I did, but I went to jail for it. See, there's some consequences for it. So just in case that you're wondering, but at the end of the day, with this pandemic that's going on, it has made your mental health, like I said, the problems that we're having with money and everything, it just makes the anxiety and the stress levels so high. So domestic violence has, gone over. So who's to know what he was doing to her, or she was doing to him? And it just erupted, because it will erupt and get out of control. So, I mean, for her doing that, I read that story too, just brought back memories. But at the end of the day,
Not
um,
you too, Ken. Why do you take your keys?
listen, I will run you over, but you're not in your right state of mind. So it brings back to mental health. I wasn't in my right
Yes.
state of mind. You're just basically, she mostly was just talking about survival, but
Well,
who knows?
it's like I said when I started the show. We're not coming out of this pandemic the same people we went in, and nor are the people that we're going to be in contact on a day-to-day basis. Matter of fact, number 3 on my list was that people are edgier, and more stressful.
Yes.
Every time I mean, we last week we read about the lady who leaned into the Wendy's with a gun because she got into an argument with the cashier. Another lady drove her car through the
Cars.
glass. I mean, come on now, we weren't doing this crazy. Well, I'm sure people have always been doing crazy things, but
But this time, because of what's going on, so mental health is so real, and it just has been compromised over and over and over again. It's almost as if you think about, for a second, Robert, we have been like, stay at home. We're almost been caged in, and sometimes when you cage animals, and you get crazy.
yeah,
And unfortunately, that, am I calling us animals? No, so please don't comment on that. But I'm saying it's just like any other thing. When you're caged in, you're at stay at home, you can't do anything but literally almost just go shopping, to buy food, and come back in the house. It sort of makes you crazy. So the tiniest little thing can set you off. I mean, these people were dead wrong for doing what they did, but their mental health, I think once we come
mental health.
out of this, our mental health, when you're talking about disparities and what needs to be done and go on, we really need to get some things and some programs in place to help us through that.
And what that does, Candice, also it highlights, as I stated earlier, people in these various professions. Look down the supply chain and look at these news. That's why we give these news items, not to make you go out and run over somebody, or like the a 12-year-old party where gunfire erupted. I mean, even the kids are going crazy. I mean, nine people are injured at a 12-year-old birthday party. It's like, come on, this can't be. We can't accept this as the norm, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm saying is, some of this also can be preempted. We can't just wait on things to happen. Things we know that this pandemic and this lockdown has affected people in ways large and small. So I think now, like I said, I have many clients in the mental health field, and I'll tell you, they are busy. They are very busy. Many have called me about how to get their services into the virtual space, and we've been very successful. Many of them. But to me, that was like the canary in the mine. That was a sign of things to come, because they were so busy. Some of them had to stop taking clients. Their log books were full. What I'm saying is that people in the business field, you have to take these stories, contextualize them in a business way, and say, how is this going to affect me and my business? Like I said, people coming out of this pandemic, they're weighing 10, 15, 20 pounds more than when they went in. So
Yeah,
I'm sure you could be.
that's when you talk about the supply chain. But before we talk about the pounds that we get into that make you crazy too. But when you're talking about, for those of us that's in the mental health states, because I'm an emotional mastery coach, so even as a life coach, a licensed emotional mastery coach, my business has gone up. But here's what's happening though. I'm excited that it has. Not that anybody has broken down, because especially in our culture, there has been so many tabooisms that we shouldn't go and talk to someone in the mental health field, that we should not tell what was going on. We were pretty much taught that we need to keep this to ourselves. So the fact of the matter is that even in this, there's peace there, that we have said, you know what? I need to go talk to somebody. So the fact that our calendars is filling, more and more, women are on my red couch and going to psychologists and psychiatrists and other coaches and stuff, getting it out of them. Actually, that's a good sign of our mental health getting better, because in the past, Robert, before the pandemic, when you heard it, especially in our community, it was that we don't want to talk about it. I don't want to go see a therapist. And
That's right.
now the fact that our calendars are full and we're helping you get through some of that, actually, that is a good sign. That's what I'm talking about. Good morning. That's a good sign, actually.
Well, Candice, people over there lighting up the line saying good morning to you. They're glad to see you this morning, which is a good thing. I'm glad to see you as well. Before we go to our break, I just want to talk one more, touch on a couple other topics. Folks have lost their darn minds with this darn money that Uncle Sam is giving out. A DC pastor right now, he's under investigation by the FBI for grabbing $3.5 million in fraudulent PPP loans. People, now I had my accountant friend, a philosophy day, on a couple of weeks ago. And she said, folks, Uncle Sam they have committed to accounting for every penny of that money. They made a pledge. They didn't just say, look, we're going to go after some. They said, we're going to go after everybody who misuses that money. And she said, if you're nervous and you're worried about it, she said, you better off just send that money back in, because they are coming after you. So we had this instance, and right on the heels of that, an employee, a senior executive at NASA, the National Aeronautics Space Administration, he got nabbed for $350,000 in COVID relief money. So, people, let me just talk to you for a minute, like Bernie Mac said. Let me tell you a story. Don't do it. It's tempting. These people they're buying Tesla cars, they're having swimming pools built into their homes, they're giving themselves these monumental salaries. Don't do it. If you don't need the money, I know it's tempting. People are saying get the money. If you don't need it, I say hold off. Especially if you have like a spending issue. If you can't control your spending, you're setting yourself up. If you need the money, that's what the money is for. But if you misuse it, they're coming to get you.
But you know what, Robert? That boils down to choices and consequences, because they have all let us know, all of us business owners that went and got some of the relief money, whether it was a PPP or either the EDL or all the other grants or all the money that they gave to us. At the end of the day, it's still your responsibility. So even if you out here and you're misappropriating these funds, as they're saying it's your choice. And just like anything in life, when you make a choice, you have the power to make that choice. But understanding the consequences behind your choice, that's a whole nother thing. So if you went out here and you misappropriated funds, you get what you get. So it is what it is now, because we knew that they're watching every step of the way. Somebody watching you and you still gonna go to do the wrong thing. That pretty much says to you, this is something that you wanted. Now, again, that may be another mental health thing in terms of it, but at the end of the day, we knew, we coming in the door knowing. So when you make these bad choices, it is not a mistake, people. It is a bad choice. So when you make these bad choices, it's just like gambling. Maybe they're going to catch me and maybe they won't, but they already said they watching. So
they say they're going to come get you. So I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm saying some people who will just do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Now that's a Spike Lee. Listen, do the right thing.
Do the right thing. I made a decision, Candice, and because I knew that, as a business owner, you really have a target on your back, because there's always so many areas where you can go wrong. When somebody decides to get you, they can just start going through your checking account.
Yeah.
Knowing that, as a business owner, you should commit early to just doing it right. Pay your taxes. Of course, take advantage of any loopholes that's going to lower your break, but don't do this. Don't do things that are going to set you up for audits, having your assets seized, And by going out here grabbing this money, this PPP money and EDIL money and misappropriating it, you're putting a bullseye right on your head. And you don't really need that, because coming out of this pandemic, many companies are going to come out of this stronger, poised to do exceptional things. And you don't want that hanging over your head to be a damping, the rain on your parade. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. And we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the business of your body with Candice. And later in the show, folks, let me tell you, the reason I'm talking about referrals today, because that's been one of those secret sauces of my marketing success. I call it one of the foundational aspects of business success. I've had a young lady call me yesterday, and she did a referral, which she has done so often, but she doesn't just send out an email and say, hey, look, here's Robert, here's Sue, here's Robert, go for it. And she does a referral right. I want you to hear this, because many of you, it's not that you're selfish or that you're lazy. Nobody ever told you that there are different ways to refer somebody. So hang on, folks. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the business of your body. We're also going to talk about the different ways you can do a referral. All referrals are not created equal, as I have found out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a minute. We're back. We have certain businesses out here that support the mission and the aims and the objectives of the Marketing Pulpit TV show, which is to build strong businesses in our community and put our people to work. Let me tell you, summer is coming, and we as business owners in our community have to be able to provide jobs for our young people. Now, of course, we're hearing a lot of news stories that people, some of you don't want to work anymore. They got a hold of some of that money and they're like, hey, man, shoot, life is too good. But that's a minority of people. That's not most people. Most people still want to get a job because this money is going to drive at some point. So this is a good time to start positioning yourself. If you're a young person and you're sitting over there saying, well, Sue over here is living off the lamb right now. When that pandemic is over and this lockdown is over, believe me, the people who have exerted themselves, showing themselves to be responsible, that have that drive, when this pandemic is over, they're going to be at the top of the list. So don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the easy money. Don't fall for the relaxation. This is the time for you as an employee, somebody's looking for a job, is to get out there now, sharpen up that resume, get on those networking Zoom calls, make those connections, and start putting yourself ahead of the pack. This is not the time to take your foot off the accelerator. This is the time to put yourself out front. When you say Candice?
Oh, I totally agree. Put yourself out front. But, you know, where I come in, if you out of order, you're going to always be in the back. You know, and even to order to have a sound business or a strong business, you have to have a strong body. You have to have a strong well-being. So if you're not being just as strong in building your body as well as building your business, it's not going to work. At some point, it's going to slow you down. It's going to slow you down. So you have to keep you up, just like you have to keep your business up to stay ahead of the game. And I think that's the correlation that most of us are missing. And maybe by no fault of our own, but it's something that we were taught. But it's time to drop a lot of that stuff that we were taught from way back then. You got to go to work, you got to work, and understand that without you building your business, without you building your career, there is no work, there is no business.
Well, Candice, in lieu of this pandemic and this lockdown and what we've been experiencing, we're seeing some people predicting that it's coming to a close. My prediction is that, now this is a Robert Gatewoodism, a Robert Gatewood prediction. For better or worse, after Memorial Day, you can forget it. People just going to start taking off masks. They're going to start acting like the pandemic didn't happen. Because what happens, and not just in pandemic, but so many times in life, changes happen during milestones. And you may wear your mask up until the day before Memorial Day. But all of a sudden, people start traveling, people start going to beaches, people start getting together again. And I think what's going to happen, it may not go totally away, but you're going to see a much higher, what we call relaxation. And by July 4th, I'm telling you, whether you like it or not, it's going to be done. Now, that's just my prediction. I could be wrong.
But you may not be wrong, because if you just look at past statistics, that's the same thing that happened last year. So it's the same thing around the holiday. You know, we're getting crazy. It's getting warm, and you're hearing stories. You're hearing all these things. Like, if as long as it's hot, the virus won't get you. So you're listening to a whole lot of nonsense or whatever. So you're letting your guard down with it, and we're letting our guard down with something that we just don't know. And that's the hard part of this. We just don't know a lot still about this virus and how it's mutated. And, you know, we know how we get it, but we don't know what's really happened to us, to the point where, because even in society, unless you go digging, it's gotten very, very quiet. Because what they're saying, like right now, is as long as you're vaccinated, get vaccinated, that you will be okay. So that's almost a sign that says I can take my mask off or whatever. So again, even though we're redefining normal as we go through it, but for right now, don't let your guard down. You still want to take those safety precautions until we really get through this or know some really, really good truths about it. I just think there's some truths and understanding with this pandemic and its virus that we're still just not aware of. So I say to keep your guard up so you won't lose your life. It should be more important.
Well, Candice, drop a couple of nuggets on us this morning about wellness, not just for the pandemic, but any nugget you want to share with us this morning about this business of your body.
I thought about, what I was going to talk about, and I'm writing a presentation, and I figure I'll just ask you this question this morning, is that, like, why are we dying before we reach the top? Like, is our body failing our potential? That's basically one of the questions I want to ask. Is your body failing you on your way to the top? See, because our potential is there, right? We all have the potential to perform at a higher level, but is your body stopping you from getting to that higher level? So I know you're saying, what on earth is she talking about? Just thinking about the diseases that we're dealing with today: diabetes, heart disease, cancer, hypertension. All of those things are obstacles in our way that stops us in our tracks from being our best self. And those are some of the things that can kill you. So it is killing you on your way to the top. See, we are so busy working, Robert. We are so busy working that we forget, you know what, I'll just take a pill. But I really haven't dived into, my potential to get to where I need to be, because I got to stop what I'm doing and go to the doctor and get my blood checked. I got to get my high blood pressure checked. I got to get my cholesterol checked because it's out. I have to go to the pharmacy and pick up the medication. So when you're talking about those things, you are really limiting yourself from reaching your highest potential. So for us, like right now, and especially in business, like we're consistently working, right, Robert? You're consistently working. But let me ask you, let me put you on the red couch for a second and simply and simply just say, okay, Robert, are you doing what's necessary for yourself? See, again, we're in a marketing pulpit, so we're talking about business. So even your body should be a part of your business plan. So even as you're talking about your marketing sphere, where is your body? Where is your well-being in that? It should also be a part of your plan, Robert. So I'm going to ask you, what did you do for your well-being today?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Candice, and that's why I attribute this to being associated with somebody like yourself over the years, that I can't let wellness happen. I know it's a proactive process. You can't just let things happen to you. I believe in this whole axiom about change. Change means to make or become different. So we have a choice to either become something that we have no control over, or we can make a change and what we do have control. So what I've done, and I'm telling you, I'm going to give you much of the credit for this. During the pandemic, I adapted some new positive habits. I do my exercise every day. I mean, I will get out of my sick bed. I do my push-ups. I take the stairs at work, and I drink more water than I've probably ever drank in my life. And I said to myself, this pandemic is not going to control me. This pandemic is not going to have a negative impact on my life. Now, it may impact some things that I can't control, but I'm a big fan of control the controllables. I'm not a doctor.
Wait, you gotta stop. Control the controllables, right? And you are in control of you. And that's one of the things. One of the best things, even in the pandemic, I see more people out and about exercising. But even if you look at from a statistics basis, we are still losing. We are still losing the war on diabetes and hypertension and cholesterol, high cholesterol and heart disease. And because we're so sedentary, especially right now, sitting is the new smoking. So even for right now, we're home and we're in front of computers and we're sitting down and we are hurting our bodies. So for me, it's like we're really much dying a little bit at a time before we get to the top of our game. See, for me, for you, we're not done yet. But if you're out of order, you're not going to be able to get there. And just like you just said, there's some things, and thank you for that. I'm glad you're listening. There's some things that you could do just as simple as Robert said, drink more water, do a couple of push-ups. I'm pissed that he didn't say he planked. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, those are the things that you can do. And take the stairs, drink more water, eat more vegetables. And this will not have you lacking in your potential, because even when you think about it from a statistics place, for people, a lot of times folks say, I don't have the money or whatever. But look at some of the people when they didn't take care of parts of their mind, body, and soul that really died before they reached the top. Like Steve Jobs, right? Brilliant man, died before he reached the top. Prince died. Kate Spade died before they reached the top. Prince, for all these people, Michael Jackson, these were brilliant people that had lots of money, but they were not taking care of their bodies. Even with some of them, their mental health, suffered, their emotional health suffered, their physical health suffered because we were so busy. We were so busy working, trying to get our business up, get known, get influence, whatever it is that you're trying to do. That you're so busy making a living that you forget to live and understand that taking care of you should be your number one priority. So my quote that I want to leave you with today, and I want everybody to repeat after me: my health is the first thing and everything else is the next thing. Say it again. My health is the first thing. Come on, Robert, say it with me. My health is the first thing and everything else is the next thing.
Everything else is next.
Everything else is next. You are first. Your health is first. So if you don't think about anything else I said, take that quote and run with it. When you get up in the morning and you decide like what my day is going to look like, you have to make sure that you put yourself inside of your business plan for your day, or you will die before you reach the top.
Hallelujah. Give me one of those church fans.
This is like some uncomfortable conversations, but it's conversations that need to be had because we don't want to hear. And one of the things that you said, Robert, was like, I am proactive. And right now, most of us, when it comes to our well-being, we are reactive. We're waiting for an emergency or trauma to happen to us before we take the time, and take the time to be proactive. Why? If we were proactive, we won't have to be reactive. So that's what I want you to walk away from, because you will. If you get proactive, you won't have to react to diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, cancer, hypertension, arthritis, pain, inflammation, and I can go on and on and on for all the things that's happening to us that we can control by meals, movement, and mindset. That's all. Just that simple.
Mr. Brown said, drop the mic and pass the plate. Right on. Amen, Brother Brown. All right, folks, we're going to take a final break of the day. And when I come back, we're going to talk about this referral business. You going to stick around, Candice, or do you have to run?
I'm going to stick around because I want to know about this referral business.
All right, folks. Hang on, folks. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. We bring you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls. We're saving businesses. We're saving jobs. We're saving our community. If you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. We're on a mission. We'll be right back in a moment. Hey. Right on. My good sponsor, BLE Executive Suites. They have the 3 locations in the DC area. They have their location at National Harbor. And they have the location at Largo, where we're actually broadcasting from the studio here. And we also have a location in College Park, which is a hub zone for all you contractors out there trying to get those hub discounts, breaks. Call BLE. And also, if you need a phone service, and they have these phenomenal Zoom rooms. Oh my goodness, man, that just blows my mind. I can go over here in the next down the hall, and they got this 55-inch screen on the wall where you can actually have people in front of you, and you can be talking to your folks from all over the country. I mean, it's really phenomenal. And they have that at their 3 locations at Largo, at National Harbor, and in College Park. Also, I've also become a big fan of hot sauce in the last couple of months because of the sponsor we have, the Perfect Batch Foods. Adrian and Walter Terrell, they have introduced me to the world of hot sauce because I didn't like hot sauce. And you know how people, your clients send you something to test just so you can say, well, okay, I tested it, now I can promote it. Man, let me tell you, I have that hot sauce on my tray just about everything. I'm putting hot sauce on eggs, Jell-O, and everything else that I eat. Anyway. You can go.
Wait a minute. You said Jell-O.
I'm hooked. Okay. When you're hooked, you're hooked.
When you're hooked, you're hooked.
When you're hooked. You can go to marketingpulpit.com and you can see all of our sponsors and great sponsors. Thank you for supporting this show and making this information available to those who need it. In the system of justice, and I'm quoting a famous author, Nimi Fuller. He says, justice. In the system of justice, one, nobody's mistreated. But the second leg of that is that help goes to those who need it most. Mm-hmm. Now, when I decided that my mission and my raison d'etre was to help small business owners, I realized that the ones that needed the most, in many cases, were not the ones who could afford it. Mm-hmm. So I fashioned I have a very thriving business where I charge people my rate card. But I have to have other ways to reach people through this radio show, through my books. And tomorrow I'm going to be at Prince George's Community College teaching a course called Marketing Strategies for Today and Tomorrow. And that class is going to be chock full of business owners who realize that maybe they're not ready to pay a guy like me, but they still need this information desperately. So I'm saying all that to say thank you for my sponsors to help make this information available to those who need it and who may or may not be able to afford it, because this information is needed by anybody who's in the business. Now, we're going to talk about, the reason I chose this topic today for my marketing sermon, I was sitting at my desk yesterday, as I want to do. And I get a lot of clients through referral. And I'm glad of that. I'm glad of that, but I noticed something that all referrals are not the same. Now, when you think about it, I want everybody under the sound of my voice, the last time you referred somebody, what did that referral look like? What was the countenance of that referral? Did you just do a, hi, Candice, meet Sue, meet Candice, and you're back off going down the road? Thank you if you did at least that, because some people don't even do that. But I'm telling you, that is not always the end, and it's not because people are selfish or they're lazy. You don't realize that sometimes there's a hierarchy in the referral business. So what I just mentioned was the bottom of the letter. That is a exchange contact information. But what if in that contact you gave that person authorization to use your name? So you're not just doing an introduction. Just say, look, tell them Robert sent you. When you make that phone call, say, look, tell them Robert sent you. That automatically moves that referral up. It gives it more weight automatically. So first we have just a simple introduction. The second one to say, I'm giving you authorization to use my name when you make that contact. Because everybody doesn't do that. I mean, I've actually done referrals where people say, yeah, call them, but you don't necessarily have to tell them I said. Because you're saying to yourself, I don't know, that person might not be the best at what he does. He might go ahead and mess up my good reputation. But if that's the case, you probably shouldn't be referring them in the first place.
There you have it.
So the third one is, now this is the one that happened yesterday, and it's happened a couple of times, that told me that, Robert, you need to talk about this on the show. The letter of introduction. This young lady, I'm just going to use her first name, Christina. She has sent me probably 3-4 referrals during this pandemic. And each time she did it, she sent a letter with my quality. Matter of fact, she asked me, say, do you have a letter or some kind of introduction that you can share with me? And I would tailor it, put my own spin on it, and send that along with the referral. And man, I'm telling you, it is so much different, because the letter, it explains who I am, my credentials. It had clients on it. It talked about how she had used the service herself. It makes a lot more of an impression than just saying, hey, Robert called Sue, Sue called Robert. So the first one was just the contact, just do the email exchange. The second one was giving the authorization of that person to use your name. I know my people that's not a given. That's not a given. And the third one is that letter of introduction, where they actually get flowery with it. They got your client, the type of work you do, your credentials. And, hey, this guy's got a radio show. He teaches at the college. He's got an MBA degree. You can't go wrong with him. I'm like, man, I had to say, man, I would use me based on that. So that's the third one. Now, you say to yourself, now, what can get better than that? What about that letter and then a follow-up phone call? Man, oh man. And you guys thought you were doing referrals. You're not referring anybody. You're just playing around. But you may not have known. Because, and the other thing about this, you have to, the more reliable you are, the better service that you offer, the more likely people are going to do this for you. Now, if you're a little shaky and if your friend, he's okay, look, I like you. I'm just going to make this introduction because I know you. But I'm not going to be putting my name on it. I'm not going to be sending out any letters and then doing follow-up phone.
Follow-up phone calls.
After that, you're on your own. But I'm telling you, this young lady, and she's not the only one. And the third one, the fourth one, now this is the creme de la creme. Your referral actually closes the deal for you. Now you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, that's not possible. How can they close the deal? It's my company. Well, let me tell you, it happened to me. Another young man. Wait a minute, hold on. I got another one. Hold on. Before I get to that one, I skipped one because this happens quite a bit too. I'm gonna call this young man by his first name. His name is Sean. A face-to-face introduction.
Wow.
Now you and I, you guys are gonna say to yourself, Robert, you kidding? You blowing smoke. Nobody's that good about referring. But when you have a good service, a good reputation, a strong brand, and people believe in you, these things actually happen. This guy, Sean, his office is probably about a half mile to a mile down the street from my office. He literally has driven 2 referrals to my office. He put them in the car and drove them over here. In the middle of the pandemic, we put our mask on. I said, look, we're not meeting in the office yet. We met out in one case, we met out in the parking lot. The second time we met in the lobby. He literally drove the referrals to my office to meet me. He called me and said, Robert, are you in the office? I said, yeah. He said, look, man, I'm doing this person's taxes and they need a marketing guy. We're going to just drive by there real fast. Close 100% of them. Close 100%. Let me tell you something, folks. You might not be referring as well as you think you are, or you may have to check yourself, or you provided a kind of service that will make somebody get in their car and drive a prospective client to your office.
Wow. Robert, you know, in that last one, I may call that a letter of collaboration, because with the meetup like that, to actually have somebody just come and put the time in and come and collaborate because you know what your clients need. So that's simply amazing, because now everybody is collaborating to do business inside of the circle. So that's pretty exceptional.
Well, and that is why, Candice, I had to talk about this today because it's happening with such frequency. And I don't want anybody under the sound of my voice to miss out on this. One, because in the spirit of reciprocity, if you do this for others, others would do it for you. Now I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I know for a fact I've done practically all of these, including taking people to somebody else. Not as frequently as Sean, bless his heart. This guy is phenomenal. He has done this, and every time he has done it, the deal was closed. One guy closed in the lobby. He said, look, I need a website, I need a logo, I need some marketing, I need some every door direct mailing. He said, how can I start the service? I'm like, don't I need to send you a kit, a letter or something? I don't have a business card on me. He said, Sean referred you. He brought me over here. That's good enough for me. I said, wow, ladies and gentlemen, wow. Now, the last one is actually the close. And you say to yourself, how in the world can somebody actually close for you? Well, look, it happens. I have another young man. I'm just going to call him William. His service is very similar to mine. And when he gets to the part of the service that he doesn't offer, but he knows that I offer it, he actually puts it in the contract and say, look, Robert, I'm going to put this in the contract, pay for it, and I will come and pay you. He closes the deal for me.
Collaboration. Yes.
I'm telling you, folks. Now, what I'm saying, I'm not saying this to say that you're not doing a good job of referring. I'm not saying that you need to go back and question your sincerity with the people that you have been dealing with. I am saying that many people didn't realize that there was another level of referrals. They just didn't know. Nobody told them. I'm telling you today, when I discovered the power of referrals, which is a kissing cousin of networking, I have saved so much money on spending money on marketing because I have these foot soldiers out here. It's like a surrogate sales force out here, just sending me clients. And then you turn it up a notch. I tell them every now and then, I'll pull one aside. I say, look, why don't we do this? Look, I really appreciate this. I know you don't probably need it, but next time you do it, make sure, first of all, if it's just an email introduction, tell them, make sure that you let me know. And I thought a little side affiliate program with many of these same people. So look, I know you don't need it, but everybody could use an extra 20, 40, 30, 40, 50, couple $100. So let's just go ahead and officialize this. Let's just go ahead and certify this into an affiliate program. So some of these same people that have been so generous with their time and energy and introductions, I went ahead and made it a part of an affiliate program so that it doesn't become nilly-willy. Now, what that does, it introduces us to what we call, many of us, to what we call variable rate advertising. There's flat rate advertising where you pay regardless whether you get 100 sales or 0 sales. Variable rate means you paying only for action. We call that cost per acquisition. Mm-hmm. If you can get that, you can, I would say, take as much of that as you can get, because that you can control. That means if they're not selling, you're not spending money. So Candice, and I will admit, I've had people that mention your name before. They say, I've seen you on the show with Candice, even when it's not even a word of mouth referral, just the association in many cases can actually help you. Yep. So I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, first, let me put a bow on this. If you are looking for referrals, I'm going to go back to one of the things that's been one of my secret sauces of marketing. You have to give to get.
There you go.
Don't go out here tomorrow and say, why didn't Fred drive somebody over to my office? Or why didn't somebody include my product in their closing deal? Or why didn't they do this long introduction? What have you done?
Reciprocity.
What have you done? And secondly, folks, to you folks who are expecting these kind of referrals, you better step up your game. You can't have folks out here talking bad about you. You can't have people out here saying, well, that person didn't call me back. They didn't finish the job. You have to have your act together. And when that happens, ladies and gentlemen, some magical things start to happen. And what's going to happen also is going to affect your bottom line directly, because your cost per acquisition is going to drop like a rock. I talk about these two metrics of marketing: the cost per acquisition and the lifetime value. One needs to come down constantly and the other needs to go up. Referrals does phenomenal things for those metrics to keep them going in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Candice,
I'm sitting here listening to you, and just in the business world, when you think of reciprocity, or when you do a good job, or you have these ambassadors, as you call foot soldiers, that's going to talk about your business as you get it to it. I mean, a wise man told me probably about 30 years ago that you do business with people who do business with you. So at the end of the day, as we get around, when we're talking about, one of my favorite words is reciprocity. You give what you get. So at the end of the day, when you're giving, you are going to get. It's just going to happen. It's almost going to be systematic, automatic. And then one further, something that we all learn as kids is that when you do a really good job, you get rewarded. It's just that simple. Same thing in school. You got A's, you got rewarded. So when you really do a good job, people are going to talk about you, because when you do not a good job, just like you said, your name will be mentioned in rooms that you know nothing about. But this is the thing that's going to take you along the way. So kudos to people kudos to all of us that's doing a good job. That's going to, and my question that I have for you, you answered it, because when we talked about the letter of collaboration, my question was, what about an affiliate? So you have already answered that, because now you get these affiliate programs where everybody's working with everybody's, just based on your level of performance. When you perform high, you literally get high. And that's what makes this business world turn. So when you're talking about churning and on the axis, this is how we're going to get to our next best.
Amen. And Leon Gatewood said he thought he was the only one to put hot sauce. Let me tell you something.
Hot sauce.
When you have to have your hot sauce, you have to have your hot sauce.
I'm not a hot
maybe
sauce.
running the blood. I don't know.
But I'm not a hot sauce fan, but I may have to try some of that hot sauce.
You got it.
So,
Let me tell you, folks.
hot sauce on Jello.
It's the perfect batch food. You got to try it, folks. You can go to Marketing Pulpit. You can go to their website, theperfectbatchfoods.com. You can go to Marketing Pulpit. We have all our sponsors listed on we have a video of all the sponsors that are advertising on the show. But I'm telling you, boy.
I don't know, Robert. I'm going to have to see if I'm going to put the wellologist stamp of approval on this hot sauce on Jello. What is it, batch.com? All right, y'all, I'm coming for you. I got
theperfectbatch.com.
Theperfectbatch.com to see what it's all about.
That's some good stuff. Well, folks, thank you again for tuning in. Once again, we'd like to welcome everybody from LinkedIn who are tuning in for the first time. Also, everybody who's on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We also we'll take blurbs of the show and put them on our Instagram feed, where we have a very thriving community over there. Thank everybody for tuning in, people who've made your comments. And also, like I said, it's a proactive show. We are like to get people's comments and like to read them on the air and share this information. And also share this show with as many people as you can, because this is information that's changing business lives. We are actually changing lives. The reason I know, so they call me and tell me. So I don't have to guess. They actually call me and tell me what kind of impact we made on them by the information they received on this show. Thank you again, Candice. We will see you in a month. You are a great co-host. Glad to have you part of the team. And folks, as always, if you want to be successful, you have to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you got to do it right. Enough talk. Guess what? Let's get to work. We're out.